Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video. And in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about whether or not we should play games in the dating phase of a relationship. So let's think of playing games as being like intentionally not calling back, intentionally waiting a long time to text back, communicating in a certain way, playing hard to get, all these different things that often people will do. And we're going to talk about in this video the major root causes for why this happens, whether or not it's a good idea, and a potential alternative that I am going to highly, 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 highly recommend instead. So before I dive in really quick, we just finished our 7-day free trial. Doors closed yesterday. If anybody, because this usually happens when we run a promotion, if anybody is, looking out and being like, oh my gosh, I missed this. Basically, the 7-day free trial gives you access to all 45 plus courses. You get it for 7 days. You can check everything out. You can print off workbooks. You can do whatever you want to do in there to check out the platform, really see how you like it. There's really, really awesome content in there. And if you're looking at phases of a relationship and how people show up in different phases of a relationship, there are awesome courses, all 3 advanced attachment style courses about the dating phase of a relationship and how somebody shows up, even one for securely attached individuals as well, actually. So 4. And just like learning some of the things that will show up for different attachment styles, things you can do, the rites of passage to move on into the next phase, all that kind of stuff in a lot of detail, like how to go from the dating phase into like a commitment with somebody and what's necessary. So if you have missed the trial, you can email my team at info@personaldevelopmentschool.com. And for the next 2, maybe 3 days max, we will be taking anybody who missed and doesn't want to miss out. So with that being said, let's talk about this. So why do people play games in the dating phase of a relationship? Like, what is this all about? Well, people play games when they feel out of control. Okay. So people play games because they don't feel a lot of the time that they have the appropriate way of going about the dating phase of a relationship. And so, think of playing games as being a form of manipulation. I know we don't want to hear that, but like it or not, that's what it is. And sometimes my not like problem, because sometimes, I think there's different things we can learn, and there can be some beneficial stuff too, but sometimes I see like dating advice on the internet, and they're forms of manipulation. And the tough part about that, when we're teaching how to manipulate somebody into liking you or wanting you or all these different things, the consequences of that later, that if that gets us in a relationship with somebody, then we go into the honeymoon phase, everything's great, we still have that like version of ourselves that we have to present because we have to try to remain congruent. And then naturally, human beings adapt to one another and we get into the power struggle phase. It is an absolute part of the life cycle of relationships. And if we didn't build a strong foundation in the dating phase upon authenticity, upon being ourselves, upon like showing up in a healthy manner, and it's real for us, it's true, where we talk about our needs, we talk about our boundaries, like this stuff comes up, then we make the power struggle phase so much more difficult. And the power struggle phase is when most people break up. And so, if we go into that unprepared and with a lot of stuff that we're going to have to work through because we didn't set ourselves up in a healthy manner to begin with, we can end up just going through these cycles of relationships where we invest, we play games, we do all that stuff, we do all the advice stuff that we hear on the internet, and then we proceed to get into the power struggle phase and feel so bad, like so defenseless, so unheard, so misunderstood, so afraid. All our wounds come up, all the other person's wounds come up. They feel betrayed because suddenly we're different. Like it can be honestly a disaster. And I would say some of the toughest couples that I've worked with over the years have been people who were in these dynamics where they showed up not as the true version of themselves. They showed up playing games and then came into my office in the power struggle phase with all this stuff to work through, all this built up everything because they didn't approach this in a healthy way. So, I just want to put that out there. So that's, and the root cause is like, we do 2 things when we feel out of control. We become inauthentic and try to do things that are manipulative. We feel like we have to manipulate when we can't directly communicate and show up for our needs. We have to get them met in some other form, which becomes through these like indirect tactics. And sometimes they're well-intentioned and they're innocent, and we're not trying to hurt anybody. It's not necessarily like malicious in any way, but It comes from fear or feeling out of control and not having a better way. And we also become critical when we feel out of control, right? When we can't communicate our needs directly, we say, you should be doing this, or you never do the dishes, instead of saying, hey, I really need some support because I'm feeling overwhelmed in life. Can you help me with the dishes? Right. So it's important to recognize if we have those patterns within us. They are extremely detrimental to relationships long term. Now, what's the alternative? Okay. Well, there's a few things we really want to do when we show up in the dating phase of a relationship. And I'm going to tell you that if we do these things appropriately, you will find the right person. It may take like weeding through a few people, but you're going to find somebody that you have a great and thriving relationship with. So if you can go into relationships and you can be clear about who you are, clear about your standards and non-negotiables, if you can be clear about your desires in a relationship and like what your own intentions are, clear about your needs and boundaries. And I don't mean like perfectly clear, like sometimes you're going to learn that you have new boundaries or new needs that come up over time. I just mean like have a good grasp over that framework. And if you can be clear about how to like self-soothe and meet some of your own needs and be in a healthy place, then what's going to happen is when you get into dating somebody, you're going to show up as very confident. There's not going to be like a neediness in the relationship dynamic. There is going to be your own ability to not put up with BS. So you're not going to like get lost in these prolonged relationships that were never going to work for you anyways, because you go in intentionally knowing what you want. You'll feel comfortable having conversations, and you'll be able to meet your own needs in a way that makes you healthily interdependent. So you're not like overly leaning on somebody or coming from a place of fear in your interactions with somebody that are likely to actually push somebody away. So if you feel confident and comfortable being who you are, showing up for yourself, saying your yeses when they're yeses, saying your nos when they're nos, not only is that really attractive because it's so confident and so rooted and so grounded, but if somebody can't handle that, okay, because if they don't know how to communicate and work through things, or they don't know how to, stop people pleasing or say, no when they mean no and yes when they mean yes, or if they're too, if they're in a state of self abandonment, or if they don't know how to have work through conflict, so they just push away, then you're going to learn like, hey, this person's just not a match for me at this time. And that's going to help you not waste your time in dating so that you can keep dating people, getting to know them, and then find the right person who is a match for you, who does want to put in the work, who does want to have the important conversations that are necessary for a relationship to work and thrive. And that's going to lead you on a trajectory pretty quick to finding somebody. I don't mean quick as in like this will happen in 3 weeks. You may have to go on quite a few dates and really be clear and get to know, people over time. But it's your greatest chance ever at having a relationship that works, that lasts, and that feels really good to be in. And the absence of those things means that we get into this funny place where we choose from our autopilot self, which is our subconscious stuff. And usually that's part of our subconscious comfort zone based on our own past wounds. So we're recreating these old sort of relationship dynamics from the past. We're not working through things. So we build up resentment. And so we really want to show up and be ourselves and be intentional and be able to have boundaries. And that is attractive. There's an absence of neediness. And that's how we figure out how to vet people properly to see if they're a good fit for us and vice versa. So I would say that's always the best alternative to playing games. Playing games is like when we're sort of the out of control version. Again, I'm not sitting here judging people or in any way. Like I've played games before I knew better back in the day. We've all been there. We've gone through different things. And it just comes from usually our lack of like emotional literacy or having better answers or solutions. But please know that it's going to be a lot of spinning your wheels unless you are able to show up and build a healthy foundation. And that also very much prepares you to be able to deal with the later phases of a relationship in a much healthier way, AKA things like the power struggle phase, so that you can get through it and thrive anyways. So hopefully that makes a whole lot of sense. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.